Tonight, in just a moment, I'll have a special message. You're not going to want to miss this. I promise you won't want to miss it. For former President Barack Hussein Obama. That's straight ahead. But first, after more than 100 days in office, one overreaching theme is dominating now Sippy Cup Joe's administration. And that theme is complete weakness. Weakness abroad, weakness at home. A weak commander-in-chief who believes that full-scale appeasement, even of our enemies, will bring about peace in our time. Now, Joe's cowardly response to Russia's hack of the Colonial Pipeline, it is beyond embarrassing. It's also self-destructive. And not only did Biden give Vladimir a free pass on Russians hacking the Colonial Pipeline, but then 5 days later, get this, Joe rewarded his pal Vladimir by removing Trump-era sanctions on what was a key Russian pipeline that helps our allies in Germany and elsewhere in Europe. And not only is America First strategies gone, completely dead, energy independence is now gone, that's dead. But now Joe has literally adopted, Vladimir Putin and Russia First policies, and to make Putin and Russia rich again, closing down our pipeline and giving a waiver to Vladimir Putin to build his. And it turns out, I guess, that the real Russia collusion, that would be leading Democrats. Remember Obama? Tell Vladimir I'll have more flexibility after the election. Hillary Clinton paying for the dirty Russian disinformation dossier, then used as the basis to spy on a presidential candidate and a president with premeditated fraud on a FISA court. And then don't forget Hunter Biden's $3.5 million he got from a Russian oligarch, the First Lady of Moscow. And now Joe destroys, in America, high-paying career jobs in the energy sector by shutting down our pipeline with the stroke of a pen, ending our energy independence, allowing a waiver so Putin can build his pipeline to supply energy to our allies. Now, when it comes to Russia, Joe gave the green light, 2 thumbs up. Here we go. One of our biggest geopolitical foes who relies on oil and gas in Russia to fund all their proxy wars, all the nefarious activities they've been involved in, including sabotaging America at every chance. And it's even worse than that, because now the same can also be said about Sippy Cup Joe and Iran, as Joe's working hard again to lift sanctions against the mullahs in Iran, that want to wipe Israel, wipe America off the face of the planet. Remember last time they gave $150 billion in, cash and other currency on the tarmacs to mullahs in Iran. So the question is, why would Mr. Sippy Cup, warm, milky, bedtime story Joe be so willing to lift sanctions on Russian oil and Iranian oil, all while limiting American oil, destroying American jobs, American energy independence right here at home? Well, we can answer with one word. Joe, appeasement. 2 words. Appeasement is the main word. Appeasement for our enemies abroad, appeasement for Joe's radical base here at home. Now, we're watching this play out in Israel. First, Biden reinstated America funding to the Palestinians with no strings attached. Donald Trump had cut it off. Soon after, Hamas, they begin launching thousands of Iranian-supplied rockets right into Israeli cities. Now, Joe apparently wants Israel to stop defending itself with a unilateral ceasefire. What would he do if those rockets were being fired into American cities? In other words, that word, one word, appeasement. Now, meanwhile, back here at home, Joe is also appeasing his radical anti-Semitic base. One example, Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, obsessively hating Israel and, of course, the Jewish people who live there. She once retweeted a statement calling for Israel's elimination. Earlier this year, she held a fundraiser with a notorious anti-Semite who once referred to Jews as satanic. She also openly complained about the Biden administration's decision to appoint a Jewish Secretary of State. Tlaib apparently worried that Blinken, the Secretary of State, would be too pro-Israel because he's Jewish. And worst of all, Tlaib once talked about, I don't know how this happened, her calming feeling she gets when she thinks about the Holocaust. Now, the statement goes on to explain it in more context, but never once did she mention the millions of Jewish people that were slaughtered in the Holocaust. Take a listen.
There's a kind of a calming feeling I always tell folks when I think of the Holocaust and the tragedy of the Holocaust and the fact that it was my ancestors, Palestinians, who lost their land and some lost their lives, their livelihood, their human dignity, their existence in many ways have been wiped out and some people's passport. I mean, just all of it was in the name of trying to create a safe haven for Jews post the Holocaust. I love the fact that it was my ancestors that provided that, right, in many ways. But they did it in a way that took their human dignity away, right? And it was forced on them.
Clearly, Tlaib is a maniac. She's an anti-Semite, spends most of her time obsessing over the state of Israel. She should not be in any elected office, frankly, ever. Yesterday, she meets Biden on the tarmac in Michigan, according to numerous reports, chewing him out for him supporting our closest ally, only democracy in the region in the Middle East, and their right to defend itself the way we would defend ourselves. Remember, the same woman who had to be forcibly removed from a Trump rally back in 2015? This is not a rational, peace-loving individual. But Biden gives her 10 minutes on the tarmac, refuses to condemn the anti-Semites in his party. Same goes for Pelosi, same goes for Schumer. And it's clear now more than ever, the radical Green New Deal socialist squad, they now rule the Democratic Party, along with Bolshevik Bernie, who honeymooned in the former Soviet Union, praised Castro and Daniel Ortega and Chavez. Its leaders cower before this radical squad. The president even heaped praise on Tlaib during a speech after just hours after that encounter on the tarmac. Perhaps he was intimidated. Joe Biden is, beyond anything else, weak, and he's spineless, clearly afraid of the radical squad, and pretty much does everything they say. But what else would you expect from a guy who can be blown over 3 times, so they tell us, from a gust of wind? And today, during a rare appearance outside the White House, Biden embarrassed himself yet again in a speech that was, frankly, painful to watch. Take a look.
I brought with me a former Academy grad who now serves as my Coast Guard Millet, Lieutenant Commander Jana. Now, I'm going to embarrass her. Jana McCrone of the class of 2007.
The name, we're endowed by the thing. Oh, you know the thing. Endowed by our Creator, God, the creator of everything, Joe. Unfortunately, it got even worse. At one point, Biden attempted to deliver a joke, got his words mixed up, and after nobody laughed, well, Joey became very angry. He wanted his sippy cup. Take a look.
I can only assume that you will enjoy educating your family about how the Coast Guard is, quote, the hard nucleus around the Navy forms in times of war. You're a really dull class. I mean, come on, man. Is the sun getting to you? I would think you'd have an opportunity when I say that about the Navy to clap, but being here together. But all kidding aside, being here together is a victory in and of itself.
We did get the signature. Come on, man. Now we know why his team orders him not to take questions. And true to form, Biden's attempted joke was not an original, but unlike Joe, President Ronald Reagan, well, about the same age as Joe at that time in his presidency, he could actually deliver a punchline. For comparison, let's just take a look at President Reagan and Biden back to back. We'll let you decide if you see a difference.
My Coast Guard aides have been excellent. One of them taught me that, and I quote, the Coast Guard is that hard nucleus about which the Navy forms in time of war.
I can only assume that you will enjoy educating your family about how the Coast Guard is, quote, the hard nucleus around the Navy forms in times of war. You're a really dull class. I mean, come on, man.
Come on, man, you're the dull president that could barely string a few sentences together. Piece of advice, Joey, stop insulting our soldiers when they don't laugh at your terrible jokes. You might remember this.
And I want you to know, notwithstanding what you may hear about me, I have incredibly good judgment. One, I married Jill. And two, I appointed Johnson to the academy. I just want you to know that. Clap for that. Man, you are a dull bunch. Must be slow here, man.
That guy looks a little better than that guy today. Anyway, I have another piece of advice, Joey. Stop telling jokes. You're not funny, you never will be, and you're as bad as most of the lame late-night shows on television now. Also, you might want to invest in some golf lessons if you're going to play. See, look at your screen right there. Watch that very closely. Biden struggles on the golf course. In that case, the ball went backwards. I don't have time to play a lot of golf, Joe. Played a few rounds in my day, but I never hit a ball backwards. Hit it out, hit it left, hit it right, but never backwards. More seriously, Joe's also reportedly having trouble with Vice President Kamala Harris. A new book is out claiming that the First Lady, Jill Biden, said that Harris can go bleep herself after that debate when Harris called out Biden's history of racism in the first Democratic debate. Matter of fact, she went silent after that. Don't worry, we'll carry the torch and remind people for you, Kamala. Now, meanwhile, Vice President Harris, she's getting criticized for hiding her tremendous wealth behind a family trust. This article on FoxNews.com, quote, the trust assets are not reportable, effectively obscuring some of the vice president's holding from public view. This clearly violates the hollow ethics pledge that she and Joe made on the campaign trail. But remember, rules don't apply to Democrats. Only Republicans get charged with lying to Congress. They're the only ones lucky enough to get 28 guys in tactical gear, guns drawn, pre-dawn raids, frogmen in the backyard, CNN cameras there exactly at the right moment to capture the event. Only they get in trouble for process crimes like lying to Congress, not Democrats. For example, Democrats, they're obsessed with something they call, well, institutional racism. We hear it all the time. Look what's happening in Chicago. Mayor Lori Lightfoot, I kind of call her a lightweight, considering she doesn't seem to have any interest in stopping the violence. 46 people shot this past weekend in Chicago. By the way, quick quiz. Do you know the names of any of them? Anyway, she now instituted a policy banning white people. They're not allowed to interview her, only people of color. The mayor's office will now only grant one-on-one interviews with, quote, black or brown reporters because Lightfoot believes there are too many white people working for the city's news outlets. Not only is this official policy obviously racist, but the mayor, wouldn't be the mayor's time be better served looking for ways to stop the shootings every weekend in her city? Yeah, again, nearly 50 people this weekend shot. Anyway, Mayor Lightweight is more concerned with the amount of white people working where? At the Chicago Tribune, at a local TV news station? This is really pathetic and sad. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.